What's up, Internet? You're tuned in episode 14 of Nintendo Noise, Flip Screen Games' weekly Nintendo podcast. I'm your host, Pete and Bessie, joined, as always, by my beautiful co-hosts, Mr. Steve Rafford.
Hello.
And the mayor of Haken himself, Mr.
Hello.
Chuy. Well, you said hello too early. You cut me off. I gave you a nice pregnant pause. I was trying to drum roll up to it like it's a wrestling intro.
Yep, I just got too excited. It's been a fun week, you know?
You know, it makes sense that you would be too excited, I think, coming into this episode because, of course, on this episode of Nintendo Noise, we are here to talk all about the big, old, meaty update that came to Animal Crossing New Horizons. Of course, Chuy is in just the afterglow. It's still just like fresh, right? It's like fresh fallen snow right now, you know?
I was literally just like writing notes about it, and as I did that, I was just like, man, I could really go for some Animal Crossing right about now. Anytime I'm not playing, I'm just like, man, I really could be playing right now.
I love the idea that you're sitting there, like, writing, like, your feelings about the game, and you're like, God, what a good fucking game. I gotta play that right now.
Do you know, Nothing gets done. I don't think you're the only one, though, because I log on and I see 10 people online, and I click on it, and they're all playing Animal Crossing. Everyone is back into this game in a very big way, and I can see why. Yeah, I was looking at my trending yesterday. 152 friends playing Animal Crossing right now.
Wow. Good God.
The next biggest number is literally Mario Party Superstars at 28. So
still trucking.
Yep.
Love that.
No competition at the moment.
Well, of course, we're going to talk all about that in our main talking point for this week. But before that, let me just remind you that this episode of Nintendo Noise is brought to you by our Patreon producers for the month of November. They are, of course, Andy Radford, Christian Oliveria, Christopher Valens, a.k.a. That Dot Guy, Wakahula, and Zaid Ida. Thank you guys so much for your support there over on patreon.com/flipscreengames. Y'all the reals to the real, and we appreciate you helping us keep this show and these mics rolling. Speaking of which, if you want to get some more content from us, head over to that Patreon. You know, if you want to keep those mics rolling, we have a whole show about keeping the mics rolling and talking about whatever happens. It's all jazz, baby. One more thing, you know, it's just, we get out there, we throw it all on the court, and we see what we get, you know?
And you know what? It's always, or at least recently, it's always stemmed from what we've been talking about before the show. Like Pete's talking about he's having such a bad day, and I'm like, you know, let's just reboot our lives. And then we just had a whole show about like what we would do in a totally different life.
That's the episode that we just put out this past Monday, and I gotta say that's an all-time great one, I think, because it goes so off the rails. Because I'm like, what if we like burn off our our fingerprints and have to go to another country? And then Steve's like, no, I'm thinking we start our lives over at a different age with a whole other knowledge. So we go some crazy places with that one. So go check it out. It's a good time. And, you know, of course, best way to show your support is over there on the Patreon. You can get all kinds of cool perks, including the VODs of our Twitch streams over on twitch.tv/flipscreengames, where every Thursday at least, a couple of us get together and play some games, but then Steve's been doing Shenmue on Wednesdays, so we've got an ever-evolving schedule over there. But this past Thursday, the three of us played some Mario Party Superstars, and it was truly fantastic. It was the best game I ever played. I loved it. Loved every minute of it, except for the parts where I was very angry. And you should go check it out. It was hilarious. And, you know, that actually takes us into our first question from the question block this week. Because one of our Patreon producers, That Dot Guy, wrote in and said, this question is for Pete's eyes only. After hearing you say on the Flip Screen Games podcast that Steve and Chuy were going to team up on you, are you satisfied with the result of this last Mario Party stream? I know I am. And I think all I have to say to that, Doc, is yes, and I appreciate your support.
All I have to say is look at the numbers. Look at how many times people reached Boo and how many times
I was the target of that boo.
I mean, you know what, Chewy? I'm not gonna sit here and say that you know, when I gave my gracious acceptance speech, I said that, you know, a winner's only as good as his best competitor. You put it all out there on the court, but at the end of the day, the Mario Party gods decided I was more worthy. And at the end of the day, that's what happens.
They did. We need to break down that absolute travesty of a duel minigame. We landed at the exact same time, Pete.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. You can go to the Twitter and watch the clip. I feel like it's pretty clear. Like I got there, you know.
No,
it's a millisecond.
No way.
Millisecond sooner, but that's what happens, you know.
And what was with that bonus star? It awarded a bonus star that nobody got.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They decided at the beginning, when you put it on random, they pick 2 random bonus stars, and none of us landed on a Bowser space. You know, hey, sometimes the fates they hand you one. So you know, I feel pretty good about it. I feel pretty good about it, Doc, and I'm ready to carry this energy into our next game of Mario Party, because no matter what happens, can't take this one away from me. It feels good, you know. So go check the VOD out of that one. That's all I got to say about that. For the rest of our links, of course, you can head over to flipscreen.games. That's our website. We've got links to our Twitter, our Discord, our email. All of those are great ways that you can keep the conversation rolling with us after the show ends and get your thoughts read on the air during our talking point, or you can send in, you know, new questions for the question block segment. So go check them out. We'd love to hear from you, especially if you've never written in before. I've been throwing out this challenge every week. Some people have been taking me up on it. If you've been a long-time listener and we've never heard from you, you've never heard your name on the show, write in. We'd love to hear from you. So let's just get into the main event here, boys, right? Of course, Animal Crossing New Horizons. We dropped the Happy Home Paradise update this week. Y'all have both put a bunch of time into it. I haven't, so I'm going to play the role of, interviewer here, and I just want to talk about your experiences. So, Chewy, of course, you've got to be the first man off the bench on this. You are the Animal Crossing expert. How do you feel about this as, not only a, substantial update to the game, but specifically as the first piece of paid DLC for New Horizons?
Well, before you start, Chuy, I want to just break this down a little bit more, because I think it's 2 separate things, right? There's the 2.0 update and the Happy Home Paradise. So I guess should we start on the 2.0 update and all of the stuff that added, because it was a ridiculous amount of stuff. And then the Happy Home Paradise is a totally different ballgame.
So my thought was we start with Happy Home Paradise because we've talked all about what the updates were for 2.0, and I want to hear what you guys think about them, but I feel like we kind of detailed all of that, whereas I imagine there's stuff about Happy Home that we just didn't know from that little teaser trailer. So I want to get your initial thoughts on that stuff, and then we can kind of get into the rest of 2.0 and how you both been getting on with it.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, so Happy Home Designer is, it was a 3DS game, and then the Happy Home Paradise is kind of a follow-up to that within the game, so it's no longer a separate package. Personally, I think they did it really well. They did it really well to, add it onto the game. It was definitely cheaper. I think Happy Home Designer was $40 or so, and now this is $25, so, $15 less, and it just gets added in. But it's awesome. It's all of that same stuff that we got from that, but taken to the next level in every way. The coolest part about it for me so far is that they've incentivized the gameplay a lot more with this one, where every job you do, you earn the new currency, the Poki or Pocky, whatever however it's pronounced. But you gain this currency, and then you can access all of the new items that are at this shop, and there's definitely tons and tons of new stuff. Some of them are really weird items, and then others are just dang, that's cool. That's just a really cool new thing that I can get. This morning I got an on-air box, I'm in a recording studio, and it was
I wonder if they're the same items then, because I got a display cabinet as well at the back that I picked up.
I did not have that. No, okay. I had a mine cart, which was cool.
Oh wow, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
But I thought the exact same thing as you coming into it this morning. I was like, do you know, I don't know if I really want to spend any time doing another job. And then I looked at the price of the on-air side, and I was like, no, I really want that on-air sign. And so I went and did another job so I could afford to buy it, which was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, but I mean, like overall, like the last game, it was just like basically very self-driven. You only really had to do more designs if you wanted to, whereas this one, it feels like, oh, okay, I actually need this money, so I can buy all this really awesome stuff here. So it keeps you playing it in a way that the other game did not. So that's like just a big improvement to that in general.
That's good because I think when we talked about kind of our when we did our pre-release episode about this topic, that was my biggest concern is like what's going to be the reason to do this, right? Like what is going to be that thing that keeps you in that gameplay loop, right? Like obviously the gameplay and like just the experience of it being fun is something, but like you want that reward on the end of it. So obviously there's the items, but also just kind of, all that you're
There's
laying
other
out
things
there.
as well.
Yeah, that sounds like that there's a reason to
Yeah.
keep doing it rather than just checking a box and kind of moving on to the next task,
Yeah.
I was surprised at how much progression there was actually, because there's as you progress, you get new job titles, you'll get a pay rise, you unlock new uniforms, you get obviously access to the facilities that we know about, but each of those are like locked buildings and they're kind of a mystery until you get to that stage. I'm still at the point where I haven't unlocked those facilities, and I've only the job I did like 2 jobs ago. I unlocked the ability to like make things shiny and polish them up. Haven't unlocked the ability to do partition walls or extend the size of the rooms. I know that there are like 2-story or multiple room facilities you can do as well, or homes you can do. Haven't unlocked any of that. So there's a lot of stuff to kind of incentivize you to get to, and the game does a good job at teasing that. But by far the biggest driving force is that I need money in order to buy these cool items, and to get these cool items and to get that money, I need to work.
So I want to pull on something that you laid out there. So you guys have both talked about the sense of progression and about these different things that you can unlock. How many hours have you both put in, and how often do you find that you're unlocking things to do in advance?
Well, I think this is gonna like alter depending on what you do. I take way too long designing people's rooms. I've been going faster lately because I'm just like, oh, I kind of need more stuff to make these things look
And
the
you
way
can
I
go back,
want them
right?
to.
So you're just like, I'll
Yeah,
just get this one over and done with. Get
yeah.
the stuff, and I come on later.
Yeah, so you can go back and you can fix things up, but like it's definitely worth going back as you unlock more of the features and everything. But I'd say like the first house I did, I sat there for like 3 hours and it's just like one room that you're designing. So it's really going to depend on like how much time you want to put into like each design. But the big facilities, I just did the first one and it was the school like they showed in the direct. Um, and that one I also did pretty quickly, but like as you progress, it's definitely like unlocking more. I'm probably a little bit ahead of Steve based on what he said. Like I just unlocked changing the room sizes, but I haven't like r- gotten much more. But as far as like how many things you have to do, it's sounding like it's somewhere around 30 or so before like you've completed all of the big tasks that unlock the whole bring all of these powers over to your island, be able to redesign your villagers' homes and that sort of thing. So it seems like it takes a good while before you get there. With like 30 homes at my pace, I'm looking at a good 40 hours probably.
And based on how you're getting on with it, and maybe you're not the right person to ask this, Chewy, because of the way that you play the game anyway. Like, are you happy with that pace? Like, are you feeling like you're satisfied with the rate at which like you feel like you can attain those new things, or do you feel like it's kind of a big ask to get to some of those higher echelons, I guess?
I would say that yes, I am happy with it. And specifically, I'm happy with it because, like, it's in addition to like everything else we've already gotten. Like I can easily spend like a couple hours on the game with just like the new free stuff that we've gotten. I have been going like at the end of the day, it's like nighttime. And I'm like, okay, bedtime, time to do maybe one or two houses before I go to sleep, right? So for me, it's
Oh,
like, oh,
that's
cool. This
cool.
is an extra little thing that I'm gonna do to end my day rather than like base my whole gameplay around it.
Yeah.
I like
That's
So
kind of
that.
yeah,
how I've been
as
playing
far
as
as the
well. 'Cause
time goes, I'm just like, cool, I can do this whenever I like. Like there's not really a big rush for me to complete it all at once, and I do like to see like some more rewards later in the future too.
Yeah,
And
because this is the last major DLC for
Hmm.
this game. You don't really want to wear it out all in one go. I think I found if it's a house I'm not really invested in the theme or the idea for, I blitz
Hmm.
through it in about 30 to 45 minutes because I'm
okay.
just like, I hate this. I've just done one that was a baseball dugout and I'm like, I really don't like this theme. He had one item he wanted in the room, which was just a baseball mitt with a ball in it. And I'm like, this sucks. So I blitzed through that, I got it done. But I did one which was an elegant European pied de terre, and I spent ages on it. I must have spent like 2 hours on the inside, and then you can also do the gardens and the outside as well. And I was like spending time on that. It was so much fun to build it out and flesh it out like that. I will probably want to rush through at some point because I want to get like partition walls and things in my own house. And
Hmm.
I know that that's right at the end. You get to take that back. So I think I'm probably like 5, 6 houses at this point. So maybe like a fifth of the way through. And I'm probably about maybe 8 to 10 hours into the game.
Great.
So if you spend your time wisely, you could probably eke like 50 to 100 hours out of this game, I think. And
Yeah. Yeah, and that's like all before you unlock like Amiibo too. You can design every single Amiibo later on. You can redesign things. You can, I don't know. There's just like you can put as much time into it as you want to. And but also the same thing happened to me where I'm like, oh, here's this house that I don't really care about, but I guess I'll do it because it was the option that I had today. And then the other houses, I'm like, oh, cool, you want a movie theater room? Yes, let me
yeah,
work on
Sure.
this for a while.
Cool.
I
Cool.
did. I had an arcade, and I spent forever on the arcade. Had like
Yeah.
neon lights going around the top. I had like an LCD display on the wall, all of the arcade machines nicely laid out. I even did like little touches of putting a trash can in the corner of the room and having some trash like on the floor, so it looked like someone had just like tossed it towards the bin and it didn't quite get in. It was so fun. And then the we'll get onto like the 2.0 stuff, but some of that stuff is kind of crucial, I think, in Happy Home Paradise. Like the camera, especially, plays such a
Yeah.
big role in Happy Home Paradise, and the fact that you've now got the first person perspective camera now, that you can really get into all the nooks and crannies to do it. Because at the end of every job you do, it wants to add it to the Happy Home Network, which is a new app they install on your Nook phone. And in order to do that, you have to take pictures to advertise what it looks like so other people can see it and visit the home, and you can go back to it later on if you want to.
Hmm.
And so you really want to spend time to craft it and take the best picture and pose things. And with that new Pro camera app that they offer in the 2.0 update, you can really get in there. I spent so much time before we started recording today, just in the roost and just taking pictures with all of the villagers and putting on like the tripod camera and like making little poses. It was so fun.
Hmm. Yeah, the VR mode is what I'm calling it because I'm like, I feel like I'm in Animal Crossing finally.
So can you
Yeah,
use
and
that around the entire island? Like you can just walk around in first
Yes.
person?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
It's limited in different spaces in different ways. So, when you're in the overworld, for example, like you can look up and down, but you can't like look left and right and get like a more angled look. Like it's still that straight on
Okay.
look outside. But like when you're inside of buildings, depending on the building, you'll have a lot more control over what you can see. Like the roost, it's pretty cool because you can turn it a little bit and get a slight angle of
Yeah.
everything. So,
But you can't like see the fourth wall. So you can't turn back on yourself to look back that way. It's still, you're confined within the constraints of the walls that you're in. It's like you're in I guess like a movie set. And
so like a
what you
diorama.
see is what you take a picture of. Yeah.
Yeah. But inside your house, you get like full control of it. You can just look all 360. It's great.
Cool.
And it's so cool because you can get so up close and personal and see the detail that they've put into the game. And when at the end of building these houses for people, they let you change their clothes. You can like put different outfits on them. You can match your clothes with them. You can like make like I guess like a little setting. So like in the pied a terre thing, I had me and the villager sitting down at the table having a cup of tea together, and just looking very elegant in our like noble wear that we were wearing.
Yeah. And they did add a couple new like camera angles from the overhead view where you do get like a slight angle on those. People used to do like this weird I guess something with the mailbox, like this little exploit that made it like an angled shot on the overworld. So they have that just like in the game now, both left and right angles. That's cool.
Like the tilt, you mean? Like
yeah,
that.
the slight tilt. Like when you open the mailbox, you know that angle that you get? That's the one that they have added to the camera now. It's cool.
That is cool. So, yeah, let's talk more about the 2.0 update. I know that there's like a lot of little things as well as a few really big things. We do have one question here. I think I know the answer to both of this, but Trendy Brendy, one of our Patreon supporters, wrote in and said, "Who all started new islands and who kept their old ones?" Steve, you didn't end up resetting, right?
Absolutely not. When I went to Harv's Island and I found out each one of those stalls costs 100,000 bells each, I was like, "There's no way I'm giving up my 10 million I've got in the bank."
Yep.
Are you joking? I'm not going to get that again.
Right.
So no, I did not reset the island.
Chuy, you talked about buying a new Switch to start a new island, right? To have a second one.
Yeah. So I'm never gonna restart my like first town or island on an Animal Crossing game again. I have so many lost ones now that are gone forever, and I'm just like, man, I wish I could revisit those. So, yeah, no restarting for me. But I do have a second Switch. I haven't touched it since I've just been spending time on my my own island. So, we'll see when I get to that.
One of these days.
Yeah.
So, what about the 2.0 update are you finding to stand out the most to you, I guess, moment to moment? And I want to start with Steve on this one because I know you've taken, like me, a really long break from the game, and now you're back into it. You mentioned briefly before that you've mostly been playing like Happy Home Paradise, like at the end of the night as kind of like a wind down thing. So like, what are you doing with the rest of that time that you're spending with the game? Like, what are the things about 2.0 that, since you've had such a gap, like what are the highlights for you so far?
So yeah, number one thing I did when I landed in the game was I went and turned on the night owl ordinance, and I love that that's back, and I get that extra hour on the shops, so I don't have to rush to do things by 10 p.m., which is lovely. But really, I think the biggest pull is just all of the new items and mechanics they've added to the game. I absolutely love the produce stuff that they've added in. It very much feels like Animal Crossing meets Stardew Valley. So I finally got tomatoes and wheat and carrots and pumpkins. I'm still waiting on sugar. So if anyone's got sugar, let me know and I will come get some from you. And you can cook with them. So villagers give you recipes or you can give them food. The additions that you get from that, it's lovely. And I don't know about you, Chuy, but I found that the interactions with the villagers are a lot better. I had someone who had gotten an argument with another villager today give me a gift so that they could go patch things up with them. And I don't remember that ever happening prior to this update. Mm-hmm. It may have done, but it was nice. It was just like, oh, this feels like more of a real living, breathing thing again.
That was like such a classic thing in Animal Crossing, and I feel like in my 250 plus hours with this game, I think that happened like once maybe or never,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of I'm finding a lot of those interactions that actually like reward you with something are way more common in this version of the game. They had done like slight fixes to dialogue appearing up leading up to now, but like now it feels like they fully have invested in just like, all right, let's just put in all the interesting dialogue right up front for players. Like you'll still get like, the whatever greeting from your villagers, but you'll get a
Hmm.
lot more of the good dialogue right after that. And then yeah, as far as I'm like coming up to you, it's way more often like, "Oh, can you deliver this for me? Oh, do you want to visit my place? Can I go over to your place?" It's
Yeah,
really
that whole
cool.
new thing as well. When a villager just swung by my house and I was in the middle of cooking and I made them some food and gave it to them and they were so happy. It was just such a lovely, wholesome interaction that's been totally missing from the game. And the fact that you can just go around to other villagers' houses and just hang out with them, it's awesome. I really, really appreciate it. And I gotta say, the cap and stuff, for me, I could take or leave it. They could have added those new island types in as just additional Nook Miles tickets. Like, I'm not really
No,
getting much out of
Cap'n
No.
is
those.
the best.
I'm gonna
And I
say
just,
no too, because I have literally found some of the most amazing islands now. I have multiple characters on my island, like five total, so each of them can go once per
oh,
day.
okay.
And so, like, I've started to see a lot more variety of things. There's islands that you show up to, and there's like crops there.
Yeah, that's where I got
I
my
found,
tomatoes from.
yeah, there's tomatoes, there's wheat. There, today I just ran into one that was like, what is going on? There were
Oh, I
vines
can't wait
there,
then.
first
I
off.
what did you have the
And
one with the glow moss?
I got that one before. There was ones with
Okay.
the vines and glow moss, but the one today was specifically it was a miracle, basically. I got there, there's shooting stars. All the rocks are like star fragment rocks, so I would hit them and
Whoa.
star fragments would fly out, and then there was a
Wow.
recipe that was
What?
like a Celeste recipe there. Like when you get those special islands, it's actually really special. You get like DIYs that I don't believe you're able to get otherwise. Like the first Vine Island I went to gave me a recipe that used vines, and then the next one after that was the Celeste recipe. So I do think there's like a lot of special things on those
Okay.
islands
Which explains
that,
why you can only go once a day.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I think it's nice. I think it gives you like one cool little thing to do. And then on top of that, you're always guaranteed to get a DIY bottle and a gyroid fragment on those
Mhm.
islands.
Really?
So
That's cool. I feel
yeah.
like those are all really good incentives to engage with that, and like it differentiates them enough, you know?
Hmm.
It is nice. I do like the gyroid fragments, and I've been enjoying collecting those and getting the different variants. I was annoyed I got one. I've got a duplicate already, and I was like really disappointed because I
Oh,
want all the different ones. But they're really really fun. I love those. I kind of wish they were Nook Miles tickets rather than just it takes the Nook Miles out of your bank balance, only because I have 100 Nook Miles tickets in my inventory,
oh yeah.
and now I can't use them for Cap'n, which is annoying. But I get why
Hmm.
they made that distinction. Uh, and Harv's Island is an absolute revelation. I mean, the
Yeah.
fact that you can just go there and go shopping, and Sahara has a proper shop, and I don't have to guess what the rug and the wallpaper is going to look like, and I can
I
go
don't
see
have her
Red.
yet.
Oh, I love Sahara. It's great.
I think I'm getting her tomorrow. She's gonna be my next one. Have you been unlocking one basically every day?
Yes, every single day I go and I unlock it. Tomorrow I'm getting Red, and I can get
Okay.
legitimate artwork to go in my museum because I've had him in the time I've played. I had him come to the island like 5 times, and I've only picked the legitimate art once because I
Oh, wow.
suck.
Yeah, I just take pictures of them each time, and over I don't know how long I was like, okay, I can recognize which art is fake now. Um, but what order did you unlock Harv's stuff in?
So I did Sahara first and regretted it because I thought I should have done Leaf first because I
Yeah.
wanted the produce. Then I did Leaf, and then then I did Reese and Cyrus, and then I'm waiting for Red tomorrow, and then I'll do the other ones because I'm not that bothered about kicks or I don't know who is the one that does either the fortune telling or the access to your storage at home.
Yeah, Katrina does the fortune telling, and then Tortimer does the access to items from home. That one, I think it comes in handy. There's a really nice surprise during this time of year for Tortimer fans, but I think it does come in handy when you start to have like a lot of items that you want to customize with Reese and Cyrus, because then you can like quickly get those out, put some back in, you know? But overall, like it doesn't do much. I started with Leaf because I wanted the produce right away. I was like, crops, I
Yeah.
need to grow them. And then I did Reese and Cyrus because I was like, I just want to see all of the things that I can't craft, like customize. So that's the first one.
Well, and all the Nook Miles stuff can be crafted now, and there's so many more Nook Miles ones as well, like the
Yeah.
pergola and the gazebos and the fun fair stuff. It's awesome, and the fact that you can take all of that to Reese and Cyrus and get it customized
Yeah.
is amazing.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that because like that question that Pete asked and just sent us all down this direction, that's kind of the big thing that I feel as a player, like who's been playing the whole time as far as things how they've changed. A lot of the existing systems in the game feel like so much more realized in this update, where basically with Nook Miles, I like the system. I like that it gave you like little goals to do, kind of taught you like of the different activities that you can do on the island and stuff. But before this update, I was down to like 8 badges left, and they were all like really long-term things. Like I have to catch 1,000 more fish or so before I'm done with one of them, and so like there's like really long-term goals there that I was down to, but now there's all these fresh ones. But on top of that, like once you had Nook Miles, the only thing you could really use them on was Nook Mile tickets by the end game. Like there wasn't really anything else that was worth it. Like sure you could get another item there, but what would you do with it? Like just wish that you could get it in a different color? Now with Reese and Cyrus, it's like, oh, I have a reason to redeem these because I don't have these other colors. Let me go and customize it. Let me change it into the stuff that I actually want to use. So overall, it just like has given life to all of these things that felt dead for a while, where it was just like, oh, I don't really need to use my Nook Miles. I had 600,000 before this update.
Oh
That's
my
insane.
gosh.
600,000, and I was like, I'm not doing anything with them. They're just sitting around, and I'm not going to sit there all day downloading Nook Mile tickets. So, yeah, now I feel I've already spent like well over 100,000 of those, and I'm just like, cool. I have things to spend them on. I can go and customize these things. It feels worth it now. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I just think a lot of the systems in the game that were introduced have been like way better since this update.
That's awesome. It's
No,
good to hear that it doesn't just add like, you know, new items or cosmetic changes. Like those things are great, right? But like it sounds like there's a lot of deep, meaningful changes, not only just by adding things, but by like really deepening, you know, the already strong framework, the game that you already invested 1,000 hours into, right? That's really good to
Yeah.
hear.
yeah, and it doesn't
Yeah.
feel like they've added stuff just because they wanted to add it. It either feels like it's come from an older game in the series and they wanted to bring that over here, like Reese and Cyrus or Cap'n, or they wanted to add it because it's an extension to something that they did before. Like the cooking stuff is awesome. The fact that you can mount things on your ceiling because that was in Happy Home Designer, it's in Happy Home Paradise. Why not let you have that in your house as well? And it
Yeah.
just makes a lot of sense to do it. I also I also love the fact that Leaf now comes with the option to just go and de-weed your island for you for 100,000 bells. I
Is
was
it that much?
is 100,000 bells.
Jeez.
He'll get rid of every single weed on your island for 100,000 bells, and you can do it as many times as you want.
That's wild. I mean, I personally really like the weeds, so I keep them on my island all over the place. But that it's cool for those who like don't want them and just like get rid of them. I'll pay you all this money.
That's
That's
a
expensive
godsend.
though. I didn't
That's
expect
amazing.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm considering it because mine is just overridden. And I can't
Mhm.
believe, like, Brandy wrote in and said that he was removing hundreds of flowers. I'm doing a similar thing. I've removed absolutely, I had an orchard, it's gone. It's being replaced with a farm. And there's going to be
Mhm.
pumpkins and wheat, and I'm going to be making things and fishing and doing all sorts of stuff, new things with all of these new DIY recipes they've added to the game.
Mhm.
And it's just added a whole new section to my island that I never thought. Like, I thought I was just done. I was like, I'm happy with the layout of this island. I'm done. I've now reassessed it. You know, we haven't even touched on stuff that there's ladders that you can put against a cliff face now, and that just
Yeah.
like brings up a whole host of ideas of like, how can I design this? Can I make this like a whole little mountainscape where I go up to a house or something? There's tons of
Mhm.
things you could do with the game now that you couldn't before, and not to mention like Brewster's in the game as well. Like, we've totally glossed over that fact as well, that Brewster's here and the roost is there, and like I feel like that was the big pull. That's what they mentioned. That was the number one thing. But for me, that's such a minor thing with everything else they've added in this update. It's like Brewster is just like a cool place to go hang out with some Amiibo Animal Crossing characters, but I've got all of this other stuff I can do.
Can I just like offer my hottest take I have about Animal Crossing?
Go for it.
I I've never understood the hype around Brewster. Like I have nothing against him, but I've always been like
Cancelled. P is
the
cancelled.
roost is like it's cool. It's cool, but like there's not that much to do there. Like you kind of just go and get a drink and it's kind of
Yeah.
it. Like
I
and
mean,
cool, but the
I think
fervor that the community had for it was something that I was just like, wow, yeah, people really give a hell of a lot of care for Brewster. Like,
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of love for that character, specifically because he's a lot like the Sable character in Able Sisters, where as you
sure,
talk to him and interact with him more, like he opens up and becomes like, your friend over time. And I think that's like the life sim aspect that people have been missing.
sure,
There's still a bit of that here, but honestly, the whole Roost really feels like a love letter to the history of Animal Crossing at this point, because one thing they didn't mention in this is just like everyone is here. They smashed it with this. Like literally every single character that was not in the game is now in the game. Anyone that has an amiibo card can be called back, like special character or not. Like if they appeared and they had an amiibo card at some point in the series, like you can call them up and it's wild. Like I remember the first direct where they scanned in DJKK and they were like, "Oh yeah, this one doesn't work yet." And now you go and scan in DJKK and there he is. He's right in front
Oh,
of
that's
you.
awesome. Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't tried that yet. Is Rossetti on a card? Can I have a coffee with Rossetti?
Rossetti is on a card, but I think he'll actually also show up randomly in your
Oh,
place.
really? Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, he's
awesome.
because he's like kind of in it. His voice is in it, so I think they figured, okay, we'll have that there. But I honestly, I walk into the Roost a lot more in this game just to see if there's somebody hanging out there. I ran into Celeste one night there, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. She has some awesome dialogue. I ran into Mabel in there, and her dialogue, I was just like, oh man, I'm gonna cry. This is emotional. Wow. So
those Able sisters,
they
man, they've had an interesting journey.
yeah, they had a life for sure. So I don't know, a lot of the stuff in the Roost here is really like I feel like it's really for those longtime fans who really loved a lot of characters from throughout the series. And so yeah, it's a fun place to hang out. I keep going in like 3, 4, 5 times a day now. I'm
I
just
mean,
like, oh,
that's
I'm
good
walking
because
past the museum.
that
Let's
sounds like
go
a
in.
good reason to go there for me.
Hmm.
Like I want that incentive a little bit more, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and there's fun little quirks there. I ran into Daisy May after she was done selling turnips. She stopped by the Roost, and instead of coffee, since she's a child, they give her a little cookie that's like a
Oh,
Brewster shaped cookie. It's adorable.
can
Okay.
you invite her grandmother? or whatever?
I did this morning actually, and they both come over. She
Oh,
she
that's
brings her
so
little granddaughter.
cool.
It's cute.
Do you
Yeah,
have a Blanca amiibo card? Can you
I
bring
do.
Blanca over finally and draw
Yes.
the face?
I don't think you can draw on her face, unfortunately, but you can call her in. I haven't called her into the roost. I called her in at Photopia because I did
Okay.
like a lot of cards that I was like, I have them all. Might as well see who's in here. And I kept scanning them and I was like, they put them all in here. They're all in this game now. Except there's one amiibo of an Animal Crossing character that I found did not work, and it was the Smash Villager amiibo.
Huh.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah,
I guess
I
that makes
couldn't
sense.
get them to appear.
I guess that's
In the
because it's a Smash series one and not an Animal Crossing
Well,
series
no, it's just because
amiibo.
it's a
No,
villager.
the Smash Isabelle works. The Smash
Oh,
Isabelle worked for me, so it's specifically the villager. And in New Leaf, they didn't really have Villager come and visit. Wisp would come in Villager's place, but this time around, nothing. And I scanned in Brewster, and it said Brewster's working here. Just talk to him directly.
oh, that's fun. I'm guessing you can invite Tom Nook over for a coffee or Isabel.
Yeah, you can invite them all.
That's
It's
so
pretty
cool. I
awesome.
Gotta
love that.
invite them all.
I do wish you could invite more than one though. I wanted to have like a party with all of them.
Yeah.
Just one at a
Yeah,
time.
you have to like test it here and there, but like some characters, when you scan them in, they do bring in multiple people. I scanned in Wardle, and he brought in over the whole Happy Home Paradise crew. Nico and Lottie came with him, so yeah, some of them will bring extras, but others, it's just the one.
So speaking of these amiibo cards, Chewy, I know you've been hot on the hunt for these Series 5 amiibo cards. How have you
Yep.
been getting on with that?
So I managed to pre-order like prior to them going like on sale in places. I pre-ordered 13 packs or so. They're all barely getting to me today, so I still got those to open, but then I went out to the shops and bought 10. Like I found 10 packs just out in the wild. So I stopped a lot of places and I was just like, Amiibo cards? Come on, hook it up. So, I opened up 10 packs and I managed to get all seven of, or not all seven. Within 7 packs, I had all the villagers
Okay.
already. Yeah, so
Which
there's
is your
24
favorite?
of these. Azalea. I really like the rhinoceros Azalea. She's
Okay.
cool. Yeah, but I think I'm gonna do probably, one of the big ones, Shino or Sasha next. Like those are the more popular ones. Ioni's been really popular, but I'm like, I don't know, I don't need you. She's fine. Um, but yeah, like pretty quickly I was able to get all of the villagers in there. The hard ones to get are definitely the special characters because there's 24 of them and you only get one per pack.
Oh
So
my
my whole
god.
goal going into collecting them, I was like, I need to get 24 packs. And I think grand total I managed to get 25 overall.
Have you had any
So,
Okay.
duplicates yet of those,
oh yeah.
specifically of the
Oh yeah.
specials?
Of the specials, Wordle is the only duplicate I've gotten. So I've gotten 11 of the 24 special characters so far, which is really good in terms of my
Yeah.
collection. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
you've been
yes,
lucky.
cool. But then I've got this whole stack of villager cards that are extras. I basically have duplicates of every villager except for 3 of them.
Okay, I might be hitting you up because I only bought 5 packets, and
Hmm.
unlike in America, the rest of the world got screwed over. We only get 3 in a
Yeah.
pack, and that's 2 normal ones and 1 special. That's all we get in a packet. 3 cards, not the 6 that you get. So I'm not very
Hmm.
happy about that. I bought 5 packs because I just couldn't justify spending £40 on 10 packs. And like getting only 30 cards for £40. I would have been very, very annoyed.
I could
So
justify it.
I'm hoping I get the ones I want, and then I get the new ones. They're the ones I really want. But I also do want Raymond. I know he's in the Series 5
I've got a
pack.
bunch of them. I think I've got
Uh,
a couple extra Raymonds in here.
So
Yeah,
I'll be hitting
Chuy's
you
like,
up
I
for
know
the
a
ones I
guy.
don't
That
get.
guy's me.
Yep, I've got some.
No, you just got to be on the lookout for the Series 5 binder book thing, right? That they're putting up for pre-order soon.
Yeah, one of my saddest moments. I saw like all of the first 4 series binders in Spain when I was there years ago, and I was like, "Oh man, these are just not going to fit in my suitcase." And thinking back, I was just like, "Man, why didn't I get rid of clothes? I could have just gotten rid of some clothes and been like, cool, here's my binders for Animal Crossing." Because now those go for a lot of money, and I'm like, great.
That's
I'm
a
never
shame.
gonna own those.
I had a look. They're like in the hundreds, right?
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I'm never gonna own them at this
I can't
point.
believe they've
So
never reprinted them. You'd think they would at this point because
I mean,
Animal
I think
Crossing New Horizons became massively popular.
yeah, I guess they haven't done it recently, but they did keep them in print for a while when the Amiibo cards first came out. So I really should have. It's one of those things where I should have just imported it a long time ago. So I've learned my lesson since those years.
Yeah, well, if I see them come in stock on the UK store, I'll make sure to get 2.
Yeah, for sure.
I've still got 2 packs of the Sanrio cards here, which I think were for the 2 of you. Did you manage to get a pack, didn't you, Chewy?
I did manage to get a pack, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I never got my
and
hands on any.
I've seen them a lot more at Targets lately too. I've been to too many Targets in the past week.
Doc may or may
mean,
not
I
have sent me something, a little something.
Oh, I was going to say, I can post you a pack if you wanted a packet. It's just, probably going to be a lot more expensive than you going to Target
Yeah.
and picking a packet up if they're in regular print over there.
Yeah.
So, but before we, because I'm sure we're going to talk a lot more about these Animal Crossing updates in the weeks and months to come.
What? No doubt, because we need to hear about your escapades into Animal Crossing when you get your hands on it.
Yeah,
soon.
absolutely, and like, of course, I know Chuy is probably raring to put another 1,000 hours into the game, so we'll definitely be talking more about it. But I do want to take the opportunity to just talk briefly about a game that I've been playing a little bit of this week, and I know Chuy got hands on it as well, which is Pikmin Bloom. So that's the new mobile game. It's from Niantic, the folks you'll know best from Pokemon Go, and Pikmin Bloom is like the latest game they're building on the framework of, that kind of like map Pokestop thing that they've been doing since, I forget the name of their first game, but it's that same kind of, that same kind of basic premise, but like the execution here is very interesting because it's a lot less of a game and more of just like a fitness app or like a pedometer. Like, it's a game that's super easy to play passively, and I think that's the thing that I've responded to the most about it is, like, even if I forget to look at it for a day or two, it keeps track of how many steps I take every day, and, if I'm walking around my neighborhood or my city or whatever, it's scanning and pinging the map and setting up, like, little items that I can send my Pikmins out on expeditions to go pick up, and like all those things happen passively in the background. So like you only have to engage with the game when you want to engage with the game. And I feel like that's something that's been good for me because it's been enough of an incentive to be like, yeah, I should go on more walks. Like, let me go take a couple like dips around the block. But if I don't, I'm not like being penalized for going on a walk and not having the app open, those things have really been working for me. Chuy, how much time have you put into it, and what are you thinking about it so far?
I've done quite a bit. So funny enough, I had picked up Pokemon Go over the summer a lot. I got into just doing daily walks. I'd try to get like 10,000 steps a day or so. So I've been doing a route here in my new place that's like gets me roughly 5,000 steps when I do it. So I was like, okay, I used to do Pokemon Go. Let me switch over to Pikmin Bloom for a while. So I played it a lot these past couple weeks, and I finally got like one of those Pokestop equivalent things to Bloom.
Yeah.
And I was just like, cool.
What happens?
A
I still
little
haven't done one.
underwhelming. It was kind of underwhelming, not gonna lie. Basically, it bloomed into just like a giant white flower, and it gave me a piece of fruit, and I was like,
That's it?
sweet.
Oh,
Yeah,
Damn, that
I've
sucks.
seen and then I saw pictures of some other people's where I'm like, oh man, your bloom was way cooler than my like dinky old flower. What is this? So
I was
I don't
hoping it
know if
might
it
be a way
just
to get like special Pikmin or something.
that's what I was hoping, honestly. I think that's like the thing that seems strange to me in this game in general, that it's just like the special Pikmin seem few and far between, and you're mostly getting all the basic colors like the blues, the whites, the reds,
I still
and
haven't
then
gotten one that's not one of those.
oh, really? I thought there was like a promotional one that I thought maybe everybody got
Oh,
it
maybe I
based
missed
on
it.
like what it had. I've
that
gotten
that one.
the
Got a ceiling
Mario.
for linking my
That
Nintendo
one,
account.
that one I have, and he has the little Mario hat, but he's still a blue Pikmin. Like I haven't gotten a white, a
Yeah,
purple, a flying, any of
I
those.
gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't got one of those either. I did recently get like another one of those big seeds, so I'm like, cool, I wonder what this one's gonna be. Is it gonna be like Mario Hat Pikmin, or is it gonna be like one of
Yeah,
the purple ones or something, you know?
yeah.
So, yeah, overall, I feel like the time I've had with it has been really nice at the same time. I'm just like, oh, cool. I'm just on a walk. I'm planting flowers. This is nice. Some things are a little bit underwhelming, and I keep thinking about how they're gonna shut down the Harry Potter servers, and I'm like, I don't know how long this Pikmin one's gonna last.
Well, yeah, and like Dr. Mario World closed down this week as well. It seems like
Yeah.
Nintendo is a bit of a fair weather friend when it comes to mobile games. If it doesn't land instantly, they don't really keep it around all that much.
Yeah, and I could
hmm
definitely see this game going the way of that. But I wanted to pull in a question here that came from one of our Patreon producers, Christian Oliveria, who wrote in and said, "What are you guys thinking about Pikmin Bloom? I feel like I wasted a year or two of my life slaving over Pokemon Go when I wasn't even enjoying it. But Bloom seems like a much more passive experience that doesn't require me to be on my phone to play, even though it's basically a Go clone. So far, I'm liking the game. It's minimal, peaceful, and unobtrusive. I do about 15 to 20k steps a day, which has helped me progress quickly. I'm level 16 now, and new functions are still unlocking. It's a bit shallow, but it's fine and encourages my step goals. If not for the Pikmin brand, though, I wouldn't give it any attention. What are your thoughts?" And I feel like that really sums it up perfectly. Where, like, yes, if it wasn't for the Pikmin element, I probably wouldn't be interested in it. But the whole thing is that, like, it is a Pikmin game. So, like, that
Yeah, but
was enough
isn't
to
that just
get
the
me.
same as it's like the same as Pokemon Go, right? Because
Yeah, I
if it
wouldn't have
wasn't
played
for
that.
Pokemon on there, imagine if it was like knockoff Pokemon, and you're just like,
Yeah.
I don't want to play this. I want to pick up a Pikachu. I don't want to pick up some other like weird looking thing.
Right, exactly. So, like, I definitely think everything you're saying here is totally right, Christian. But I think for me, like, that the Pikmin thing was what got me in the door, and the fact that it is like a passive experience, and it's like less of a game, and it's more gamifying being a step app. Because, like, I was never gonna use Google Fit, right? Like, that's just not for me. But this, I am, and I'm interested in it, and it is getting me to go for walks and take more time, like, away from my desk. And, like, I had friends over this weekend, and every time that it was like, oh, should we walk to where we're going, or should we get on the train, or should we take a lift? I was like, let's walk, you know? And
You were like, hey, I've got Pikmin to
I got to
play
get my
here, and
steps in. Let's go. So now it's
we're
like,
walking.
I'm forming those good habits. So maybe if they do eventually stop supporting this, like, maybe I'll just switch over to Google Fit and just be a walker now and not need that incentive. But I think for me, I like it's a game that, like, I'm checking every day. Like, I'm having fun with it. Like, it's not anything super substantial, but the experience that it's trying to provide, I think it's providing really well. Like, it is shallow, but I think it's meant to be shallow. It's meant to be a thing that you dip into for a few minutes or while you're going for a walk, and otherwise, like, that's it, which is great. Like, like, I didn't look at it for the last 3 days, but like I said, I walked all over the place, and I got like 15k steps in one day. I got 10k another day, and like, you can go back, get all your little rewards even 2, 3, 4 days later. So
Yeah.
that ability to just be removed from it and let it just kind of like naturally progress, and like on days where I'm like, oh wow, I only walked like 1,000 steps today or whatever, that's bad. I should really go for more walks. Like, that's all I really need. That's the nudge I get to open it up again,
What are the
Yeah.
areas looking like around by you? Because near me, there's nothing on the map. There is like no flowers.
There's a few
planted
flowers. There's other folks
anything.
playing, but not a lot.
Yeah.
Closer I get
There's,
to
like,
the
you're in
center
the
of the
city,
city, the
right?
more I see it. But like in my neighborhood,
Yeah.
there's at least 2-3 other people playing, I think.
I'm the only one on my route. I know because I've worked hard to get those flowers to bloom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you want your
took
signature on those.
It took me several days because like there's like a limit that you'll hit. Like it'll stop planting flowers in those areas as it fills up, and you have to come back the next day and plant flowers. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm estimating this will take me a few days to finally get to bloom. And so, yeah, for me, I was just like, man, it'd be kind of nice if more people were on this, so this wouldn't take so long.
Yeah, I definitely get
Yeah.
the impression that it's not quite as popular, which is unfortunate. But, I'm still going to be plugging away at it. I don't know that we'll have much more reason to talk about it from here on out, but
Well, unless they close it down next week, and then
I
that'll be
think they
I'll tell you
have
what.
a community day coming up. Like they're gonna try a community
let's
day.
fucking go,
on the,
Chewy.
like 13th or something. Maybe it's this weekend.
We got to make some Pikmin Bloom content.
I'm
and-
curious though, like what is the depth of those like Pokestop style things? Because that was the big, or are they more like gym?
That's the flower thing that you have to go and grow. Like they're not
Yeah,
a
but,
big
like, are
deal
they-
at all.
Okay, because the problem I had with Pokemon Go was my area. There's no Pokestops. There's no gyms. There was nothing around here.
Yeah.
The one that there was the church, and the church complained, and they got it removed. So then, even then, we had even less in the area, and so I just stopped playing Pokemon Go around here. It was pointless. The only time I would ever open it up was when I would go into town, and during the pandemic, that just became less and less frequently.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
not
that's
going
like
into the
really
center.
not the focus. Like those things, like from the sound of it, with what happened with Chewy is all you get is like bonus items. But like if you just walk around, you have these things called expeditions where it'll be like, oh, there's fruit on the map. You can send 5 Pikmin and they'll go and get it and come back. And so like you don't have to engage with like the stops or any of that kind of stuff at all, really. Like it's not
Yeah.
key to the experience. I wouldn't say. The real thing you have to do is just go walk.
Yeah. Well, the big thing that they want you to do with like planting flowers specifically is like it's how you get the in-game currency, like the little gold coins. But it's so whack. You have
Yeah.
to plant 500 flowers to get 1 coin. 1 coin. And I forget what things even cost. They're like hundreds.
There are hundreds of so it's insane.
Hundreds of coins. So you're just like, all right, I have to plant how
Or have
many
you got to
flowers?
pay real money to
Or
buy more
you have
coins?
Or
to
you
pay
pay
real
real
money,
money. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
which is what they want you to do, right?
The thing is, though,
That's
I don't
it.
feel like you really, and like this will probably get worse, like as I continue to level up and like the levels are further and further apart. Like I don't feel like I like need it that much. Like you can plant 2 Pikmin for free indefinitely. I never really have enough seedlings for that to matter. Like, like I do a couple at a time. You just check the app, switch them up. Like, I don't feel like there's a huge. I haven't felt incentivized to spend money like at all. Like, it all seems like stuff that would be kind of a waste.
Yeah. Yeah. It just doesn't seem like it matters too much. Like even leveling up, what do you get when you level up? I guess
Get
some
items.
special seeds every once in a while.
You get special
but-
seeds, and you'll get like like you'll get planters and things like that. Like the stuff that you would buy with the currency sometimes. But like
Yeah.
even those things are like, how much do those really matter? Like I don't know, which is not great. Probably for the longevity of the game, that it doesn't seem like there's a good means to make money. But hey, we'll see what happens.
Miyamoto loves Pikmin, so maybe that's enough to just keep this going for a very, very long time.
Fingers crossed, baby.
We
Fingers crossed.
also love Pikmin. So
We stand
really
Pikmin
glad
here.
this is Pikmin 5 now.
It is, for sure. Sorry, Pixel.
Yeah. So thank you guys for joining us here at another episode of Nintendo Noise. If you want to write in and let us know your thoughts about the updates to Animal Crossing or Pikmin Bloom or anything else, there's a bunch of ways you can do that. Head over to flipscreen.games. We got links to our Discord, to our social media, to our email address. Write in just like all the fine folks did this week. We'd love to hear from you for next week's show. And write in with your own questions for the question block, right? If you come up with a good enough question, it could even become a main topic. Think about that. Think about that feather in your cap, huh? Huh. Wow. So also there'll be links to some other cool places you can get content from us, like our Twitch channel, where we're streaming every Wednesday and Thursday, and our Patreon, which is, of course, the best way to go and show your support and get a bunch of good goodies and perks and all kinds of cool stuff. So we hope you'll go check those things out. But even if you don't, there's a bunch of free ways that you can support the show. Like it, share it, subscribe it. If you're hanging out on the YouTube channel, click that notification bell so you know when the next video goes live. If you're an audio listener, please go give us a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps the show get discovered. And if you know somebody out there in your life who's a Nintendo fan who you think would enjoy the show, would enjoy being a part of the community here, please let them know we're out here, because we'd love to have them. Just like we'd love to have you. So thank you all for joining us here in another episode of Nintendo Noise. We'll catch you next week. Take it easy, babies.